What do you do if you're contacted by the school? Maybe your child did something at school and now they're contacting you to report the problem. Your child hasn't even returned home from school and you are furious. You've received this call and you're not sure how to deal with it. If you've ever been in this situation, you're not alone. I have had multiple parents contact me about this situation. They've called me right in the middle of the day and they've said, I just got this call from the school and my child supposedly did this and this and this. And some parents are shocked and surprised and some are like, they did it again. So the important thing here is to prepare yourself emotionally first. You're going to be furious. Maybe your blood's going to be boiling about what has happened. But the most important thing we can do in the very beginning stages is to emotionally prepare ourselves. Instead of when you see that child erupting in anger and throwing fuel onto that fire that's going to be there and arguing with your child and why did you do this? Instead of going that route, it is important to be intentional, to stay calm, so that when you meet with your child and when you come back together, you can hear their side of the story. It's important to hear their side and to let them know that you respect them, that you can see through their eyes what had happened and why they believe it happened. I've been contacted, as I mentioned, about different scenarios like this more than once. And sometimes the child was at fault and they were to blame. And other times they were not. So it's very important as the parent that you take the time to understand the story and the situation and what happened. Okay, so we know that we need to calm ourselves down. We need to emotionally prepare. And we need to show respect to that child and say, let them know the school contacted me and this is what they said has happened and I would like to hear your side of the story. Then you let the child share their side. And you think of consequences. Before they get home, take time. You may contact your spouse or you may talk to friends and you can take time to really put together a plan and think, okay, what are some likely outcomes, some likely consequences that I can give to this child because this has happened, if they are at fault. So some of those things might be like an extra cleaning chore, or it might be serving someone or writing an apology letter. There are so many different types of things that you could do to help them follow through with what has happened. And you can even open it up to them. That is actually the most developmentally appropriate way, is to say, what do you think you could do? And hand the problem back to them instead of you taking ownership of it. So you could say, what do you think you could do in this situation? And they may come up with an amazing idea that could help solve the problem. In other scenarios, I've had parents who have been contacted where their child's been involved in a tiff at school and the parents were contacted and they were so upset and we were able to communicate and I explained to them, stay calm, listen to their side of the story, and then come up with consequences. And so when the child got home, the parents did just that. They talked with the child, they listened to their side of the story and showed respect to that child and showed them that they were valued. And guess what? Once they heard the whole story and they knew the other child that was involved and what that child was dealing with, they were able to be enlightened about the entire situation. If they hadn't taken that time to calm down and really listen to their child, they may have just blown up with a lot of emotion and it may have been destructive for the relationship with the parent and child and a lot of blaming without really knowing the whole picture. So it's important as parents that you gather information. Gather information from the school, gather details, and then also gather information with your child when you're one-on-one alone with them. And they can feel respected and valued and really listened to and validated. So take that time, gather all the information from the school and then from the child. Then you can hand that problem back to them and say, what do you think you could do? Or you could offer some ideas, like a menu of options. You could say, maybe you could write a letter, or maybe you could serve that person in this way. You decide, and you can give them different things. If you feel like the child was at fault, maybe they miss out on something, maybe some screen time, or maybe they have a cleaning consequence. There's so many ways that you could do. There's more than one right answer to follow through. But the important thing is that you do listen to the child. Because in this one scenario where the parent really did take the time, they took the time to hear the child's story and they got more information, they realized this child didn't need a big consequence. They needed to have a talk about how the behavior was inappropriate and how to handle it better next time. And I was invested in this call with these people who contacted me. I wanted to know, what was the outcome? How did it end? And oftentimes these parents will circle back around and fill me in with how it happened and what ended up happening in the end. And every single time, the outcome has been good. because the parent showed up, they were intentional, they listened to all sides, and they followed through. For one parent, they needed to implement some consequences. For another parent, after talking with the child and realizing the whole situation, they talked about what would have been more appropriate ways and had awesome teaching moments in that moment. But they realized that no other consequences were necessary. And what was so rewarding when they contacted me and let me know about all of this is that child who, once the parents got the bigger picture, they said, you know what, this was such a good experience with our child. The fact that we didn't resort to anger and blaming, but we took time to really listen to that child, they walked away from that experience saying that experience actually strengthened our relationship. Because the truth is, they knew the temperament of their child, and they knew that kind of behavior at school is not typical. So that's why it was so shocking for them. And that's why I encourage them, you know your child, you're the expert. You need to make sure to hear their side. Help them to feel validated and hear their side. Also gather information from the school and then proceed. So some kids may need some consequences, and other kids, once you hear the whole story, maybe they don't. So the reason I share this with you is there is more than one right answer. And I don't know your personal child's temperament. You are the expert of your child. You might know, like as the expert, as the parent of your child, you would know, is this typical behavior of them? Could I see them doing this? Or is this totally out of the blue? And I need to take time. Either child, I need to take time to sit down, listen, look for opportunities to teach in short, simple ways, not go off on long-winded lectures, but listen to them, talk to them, teach, help them feel valued, cared about, and respected. And you can do this and know that you're not alone. Parents sometimes receive calls from the school that something went wrong. So the most important thing you can do is, number one, stay calm, emotionally prepare yourself. Number two, gather information from the school in a respectful, kind way, and then also from your child in a respectful, kind way. And then move forward. Do there need to be additional consequences, or do there not? There are so many options. You've got this.